Hello and welcome back to FD, where today we've made a team of the worst players ever to lift major silverware. Goalkeeper, Zeljko Kalac. We start with unpronounceable keeper Zeljko Kalac, who won the Champions League with Milan in 2007. Signed as a backup to Brazilian legend Dida in the summer of 2005, it took Kalac 7 months to make his debut for the Rossoneri, and he played an average of 10 league games a season during his 4 years with Milan, winning the European Cup, the UEFA Super Cup and the Club World Cup. No one would have expected the Australian to end up winning football's biggest trophy. A Sydney United trainee, he moved to England with Martin O'Neill's Leicester City, but failed to impress and returned to his homeland a year on. He got a second shot at 26, switching to Dutch side Roda, where he won the cup, his first silverware in professional football, and Milan subsequently picked him up on a free. His glittering spell in Italy came to an end when he dropped to third choice behind Dida, then 35, and Christian Abbiati, and he wound down his playing days in Greece. However, Kalac did manage to pick up over 50 caps for his country, remarkable given the competition from both Mark Bosnich and Mark Schwarzer. Defender, Efe Ambrose. Like most Celtic players, Efe Ambrose was scouted from a lesser league, joining the Glasgow outfit from Israel in 2012. He was already a title winner in his native Nigeria, and at Celtic Park he became somewhat of a cult hero, excelling against Barcelona in the Camp Nou, but almost single-handedly losing a Champions League tie to Juventus. Never one to take criticism on the chin, Ambrose would occasionally throw his teammates under the bus. In 2015, Celtic were beating Fenerbahce 2-0 before the defender played a weak back pass to give the Turks one back, and was later beaten by Brazilian forward Fernandao for the equaliser. Asked about his poor performance after the match, Ambrose said if Craig Gordon was able to catch the ball, then no one would speak about this. His questionable ability didn't stop Ambrose winning the Scottish League 4 times before he departed for Hibernian, who he helped return to the top flight in his first season, adding to a trophy cabinet which includes the 2013 African Cup of Nations. Defender, Martin Casares. One of the most fortunate men on our list, Martin Casares managed to parlay a small amount of talent into a very successful career. The Uruguayan turned out for Barcelona and Juventus, winning a treble in Spain and another 5 Scudetti with the old lady when he narrowly missed out on a second UCL in 2015. Casares cost the Blaugrana €16.5 million, making him the 11th most expensive defender in their history. But although he spent a combined 5.5 seasons with the 2 European giants, he only managed 133 appearances for them. In fact, he's played more than 20 league games just once since 2008, during a spell with Sevilla. Likened to legendary countryman Paulo Montero as a youngster, Casares has at least performed better at international level, helping Uruguay to third place in the 2010 World Cup and winning the Copa America the following year. He now has 75 caps, that's more than Manny Neuer for Germany at the time of writing. Defender, Jonathan Zebina. Frenchman Jonathan Zebina spent more than a decade in Italy with the likes of Brescia, Roma and Juventus. He won a title with the Giallo Rossi and 2 with Juve, though those were later revoked after the Calciopoli scandal. And during this time, he played alongside legends like Samuel, Alder, Fabio Cannavaro and Lilian Thuram. But despite the illustrious colleagues, Zebina was always error-prone and never made more than 25 appearances for either of the big clubs in 10 campaigns, not even during Juventus' season in Serie B. In fact, he was so inconsistent that he lost his place to Martin Casares, and in 2007 he was fined €15,000 and banned for 4 matches after he slapped a cameraman. Jonathan. His final season in Turin ended in humiliation and acrimony as he was slapped by a Bianconeri fan while boarding the team bus, responding by giving the crowd the finger. It's unsurprising then that Zebina's last piece of silverware was the Serie B title over a decade ago, and he was handed just the single cap for France. Guys, if you're enjoying this, why not come and check out what life is like behind the scenes at Football Daily by following our Instagram account. Disappointment guaranteed. Defender, Edson Braafheid. Not only one of the worst title winners ever, but arguably the worst to ever play in a World Cup final. Edson Braafheid earned just 10 caps for the Netherlands, but one of them came in the 2010 showpiece as the Orange lost 1-0 to Spain. A left-back, Braafheid was at Bayern Munich at the time, where he lifted the domestic double in his first year under Louis van Gaal. It didn't take long for the Bavarians to work out that Braafheid was not at their level, and they loaned him out to Celtic, where he also underachieved. In his first 7 games for the club, the Hoops drew once and lost twice, with the second a 4-0 defeat at the hands of St Mirren, their first ever loss to the Paisley side. The Dutchman has since returned to his homeland with former sides Utrecht and Twente, and has averaged just 6 games a season over the last 3 years. Midfield, Macdonald Mariga. The incredibly named Macdonald Mariga is Victor Wanyama's older brother and, like Victor, has had some success in Europe, but he started his career in Sweden. He ended up moving to Inter Milan as a 22-year-old, joining in the January 2010 window to bolster Jose Mourinho's squad as they marched towards a historic treble, the first in Italian history. Jose paid €5 million for the Kenyan, and he became the first player from his country to feature in the Champions League, and the only Kenyan to win it. However, he played just 10 minutes in the competition that season, somehow picking up a yellow card in that time, with the highlight being a 4-minute cameo in the semi-final against Barca. He would make only 21 appearances in Serie A over the next 4 seasons, and though he's played for another 4 clubs after leaving the San Siro, including Parma and Oviedo, none of them have paid a transfer fee for him. Still just 30, he hasn't made an appearance in any country's top flight in 3 years. Centre midfield, Raul Meireles. On joining Liverpool in 2010, Raul Meireles told the fans, who hoped he'd replace their recently departed star, "I am Meireles and not Mascherano." 8 years on, no one would dream of comparing the two, though both midfielders have Champions League winners' medals. The Portuguese arrived at Anfield from Porto, where he won 4 titles, and he was already 27, helping Liverpool beat Manchester United to his signature, with the Red Devils refusing to pay a big fee for players over 26. He was there just 1.5 seasons before inexplicably switching to Chelsea after the Blues missed out on signing Luka Modric, and again he lasted 18 months, but still added an FA Cup and European crown to his CV. He departed for Turkey at only 29 years old, won the league again, but left when his contract expired in 2016. He hasn't played since, and despite being offered to Swansea, West Brom and Watford in October 2017 as a free agent no less, even the relegation strugglers refused to take a punt on him. Midfielder, Anderson. Brazilian Anderson should have been a superstar. The midfielder was named Golden Boy, the best under-21 player in Europe, back in 2008, when the 4 previous winners were Agüero, Fabregas, Messi and Wayne Rooney. He was subsequently called up to the Brazilian national team, winning the Copa America and receiving 8 caps before he turned 21. And that same year, he won the Premier League and the Champions League with Manchester United, adding to the 2 titles he lifted with Porto. However, after appearing 24 times in the Prem in his debut season, he never reached 20 again, as a series of knee injuries limited his game time. He won another 3 titles, but playing under half the available matches each time. And though he ended up with nearly 200 appearances for the Red Devils in all competitions, he scored just 9 goals during his time in Manchester. A loan to Fiorentina was embarrassing to all concerned, and Anderson returned to Brazil with Internacional on a free in 2015. He played more games in his 2 seasons in Porto Alegre than he had in his previous 5 with United. Forward, Lukas Vasquez. Given his peripheral role at Real Madrid, you'd be forgiven for thinking Lukas Vasquez was a talented youngster, but the Spaniard is actually 26, just 3 days younger than Kevin De Bruyne. The Wideman has been with Los Blancos since he was 16, and amazingly, he played in Real's B team, the Castilla, until he was 23 years old, first appearing for a senior side in 2014-15 when he went out to Espanyol on loan. That year, Vasquez got 3 goals and 6 assists in 33 games. Hardly spectacular, but apparently enough to earn him a spot in Real's first team squad of the following campaign. From the bench, the winger has won La Liga and 2 Champions Leagues, with his total of 8 trophies at the Bernabeu, meaning he's picked up silverware every 14 appearances for the club. Despite scoring 4 goals in 50 games last season, Vasquez remains a trusted lieutenant under Zinedine Zidane, but he still has more appearances for the Castilla than the senior team. Centre forward, Xavier Portillo. You may not know his name, but Xavier Portillo was once touted as the next Raul. He joined Real Madrid at 12, and in 7 seasons as an academy player, he scored 150 goals to set a new club record, previously held by the little number 7. Real was so sure of his success that in 2002 they handed the 20-year-old a 5-year contract with a then sky-high buyout clause of €35 million. In his first campaign, Portillo scored 5 goals in 10 and looked set for stardom, but ultimately he'd only bagged 1 more goal for the club. Loans to Fiorentina and Bruges failed to spark a revival, and he left the Bernabeu for a string of smaller Spanish teams, not spending more than 2 years with any of them. A League and Champions League winner within 2 seasons of turning pro, Portillo ended up hitting more than just 10 in 2 campaigns, never getting a senior cap and retiring at the age of 33. He played 398 games but failed to reach 100 career goals. Forward, Jeremy Aliadière. An Arsenal trainee, Jeremy Aliadière was one of 6 Frenchmen in the Gunners squad when he joined the first team in 2001. He ended up staying with the side until 2007, but in those 6 years he scored just a single Prem goal for Wenger's team and somehow managed to go out on loan 3 times in the 05-06 season alone, flaming out at Celtic, then West Ham and then Wolves. By the time he was 24, Aliadière had 2 Community Shields and was an invincible, having played 10 times in Arsenal's miraculous 2003-04 campaign. However, he had just 3 league goals, and even Arsenal had enough at this point, replacing him with Eduardo, who bettered the Frenchman's tally in England in just 11 appearances. But Aliadière's record of a strike every 7.5 games didn't put off Middlesbrough, who inexplicably paid £2 million for him. Donuts. At the age of 30, the forward finally scored more than 10 league goals in a single season, netting 15 for Lorient in 2013 and doubling the number he had previously. He's currently a free agent, and we can't imagine why. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, click what's on screen now, and as ever, don't forget to like and subscribe, you dirty, dirty dog.